Please be advised this podcast features AI cloned voices created with human oversight. All content is reviewed by experts for accuracy and relevance. Welcome to the IADS Retail Park. Whether this is your first time tuning in or you've caught our previous episodes over the last couple of months, we're excited to have you with us. I'm your host, Maya, and today we're exploring one of retail's most fascinating challenges, understanding and capturing the Gen Z shopper.
And I'm Anchita. Based on exclusive IAD's research from 2021, we'll explore how this generation is reshaping retail expectations and what it means for department stores worldwide.
Let's begin with the basics. Who exactly are we talking about when we say Gen Z?
Born from 1996 onwards, Gen Z boasts a massive $143 billion in purchasing power as of 2021. What's really interesting is their influence. They're not just making their own buying choices, but also shaping the purchasing decisions of millennials and Gen X.
Each generation really does have its own unique vibe. Baby boomers, for instance, often emphasize hard work and stability, having grown up during a time of economic growth. Generation X tends to value independence and a more relaxed approach to work-life balance. Millennials are known for their tech savviness and focus on experiences over things, often advocating for social change. Then there's Generation Z. What makes them different from previous generations?
They are true digital natives with very specific expectations. According to IBM and NRF, research covering 15,600 Gen Zers across 16 countries, they demand accurate inventory information, value for money, wide product assortment, and most importantly, individualized experiences.
I understand there's something surprising about their shopping preferences.
Definitely. One of the coolest insights we've discovered is that even though Gen Z is all about being digital natives, they actually prefer shopping at physical stores. But there's a twist. They expect these stores to provide unique, personalized experiences that mix the best of both digital and in-person shopping. It's all about creating a seamless experience that makes them feel special. This helped consumers understand exactly what impact their purchase decisions were making.
Can you give us an example?
The TX Youth Energy Center in Shanghai is a great example of this concept. They built what we like to call a cultural landmark for youth by bringing together fashion, street culture, and clubbing all in one place. It's exactly the kind of experiential retail that Gen Z is looking for.
Anchita, speak a bit about social media engagement. How much time does Gen Z spend online?
The numbers are striking. According to Global Web Index, 16 to 24-year-olds spend about 7 hours a day online, with 3 of those hours dedicated to social media. What's really interesting is how their platform preferences are shifting.
How so?
Traditional platforms such as Twitter and Facebook are experiencing a decline in traffic, while platforms like TikTok and gaming sites such as Fortnite are gaining popularity. For example, Falabella has taken a proactive approach by launching Falabella Play, a multi-platform channel that streams content across YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitch.
What are the key elements retailers need to focus on to capture Gen Z's attention?
Our research identifies 3 crucial areas. First, communication needs to be authentic and concise, using current language that resonates with Gen Z. Second, service offerings must include elements like free shipping and flexible payment options. Many retailers are now offering buy now, pay later services. Third, rewards programs are absolutely essential.
Can you elaborate on what makes a successful rewards program for Gen Z?
H&M's membership program is a solid example of how to connect with Gen Z. It mixes practical perks like points and discounts with fun community experiences and personalized options. Since Gen Z really values individuality, programs that offer cool curated freebies and keep track of personal preferences usually do really well. Plus, creating a vibe where members feel part of something special can seriously boost loyalty. Overall, H&M's approach shows how important it is to make the whole experience more about interaction and personal connection rather than just transactions.
Let's explore more about Gen Z's connection to sustainability. How are retailers adjusting to fulfill these expectations?
This is fascinating territory, Maya. Our research shows that Gen Z doesn't just want sustainable products, they demand transparent sustainability practices throughout the entire retail operation. They're what we call sustainability natives.
Could you provide more details about that term?
Unlike earlier generations, Gen Z sees sustainability as a standard part of life rather than just a trend. They're quick to recognize when companies are just pretending to be eco friendly, and they want retailers to be upfront about their supply chains, materials, and environmental impact. That's why H&M has launched transparency initiatives to address these expectations.
Why don't we check out some specific examples of department stores that are really connecting with Gen Z? It'll be interesting to see what they're doing right.
Great idea. Now, let's take a closer look at what some retailers have been trying out. For instance, Selfridge's Project Earth initiative has really struck a chord with Gen Z by merging sustainability with an engaging shopping experience. Plus, in Asia, we're witnessing some incredible innovation. Lotte department store in Korea has set up special Gen Z zones that seamlessly blend physical and digital experiences.
What about European retailers, Anchita?
El Corte Inglés has been particularly successful with their wow concept, targeting young consumers through a mix of trending brands, digital integration, and social media friendly spaces. They've seen a 40% increase in Gen Z foot traffic in stores with these concepts.
How is Gen Z influencing private label strategies?
This is where it gets really interesting. Gen Z has completely upended traditional private label thinking. They don't view private labels as lower quality alternatives, they assess them based on their own merits.
And how are department stores responding?
We're seeing a complete reinvention of private label strategies. Department stores are creating distinct brand identities for their private labels, complete with their own social media presence and sustainability stories. Some are even launching private labels specifically for social media platforms.
For retail professionals tuning in, how can they start implementing these changes in their operations?
So here's what I suggest: take a phased approach. Start with what I like to call the Gen Z readiness assessment. That basically means taking a close look at how you're doing in five really important areas. First, think about your digital integration capabilities. Are you truly making the most of technology in your retail processes? Next, consider your staff. Do they have the knowledge and training they need to really engage with Gen Z shoppers? Then ask yourself about sustainability. Are you transparent and open about your practices and commitments, or could you do better there? After that, look at your social media presence. How strong is your brand on the platforms where Gen Z spends their time? And finally, evaluate your store experience design. Is your physical store's layout and vibe actually connecting with younger shoppers, or is it a bit outdated? That's your starting checklist. By honestly assessing yourself in these five areas, you'll know exactly where you stand and where you need to go next.
And once you've done this assessment,
The next step is prioritizing initiatives based on their specific market. Not every department store needs every Gen Z focused feature immediately. Our research shows successful implementations usually start with quick wins, like enhanced social media presence and staff training, before moving on to larger investments.
how should retailers measure success with Gen Z initiatives?
The old benchmarks in retail just don't give the full picture when it comes to Gen Z. These days, the most forward thinking retailers are tuning into a whole new set of ways to gauge their impact. One thing to look at is how often your brand shows up in conversations on social media. If people are actively talking about you online, that's a great sign. Another powerful indicator is user generated content. Are your customers posting about your products, sharing photos, or tagging you in their stories? It's also smart to track your digital to store conversions. Are you able to turn online buzz into actual visits to your physical stores? And don't overlook engagement around sustainability. If shoppers are participating in your green initiatives or sharing your commitment, you know you're making an impression. Finally, consider your community involvement. Notice how much your brand is engaging locally, and just as importantly, how Gen Z is reacting to that presence. Zooming in on these types of metrics gives you a much clearer sense of how you're connecting with Gen Z and highlights the opportunities to deepen those relationships even further.
And Cheetah, what trends should retail professionals keep an eye on in the coming years?
It's almost like every time you blink, Gen Z has set a new trend and redefined what's cool in retail. So, Maya, staying ahead means being ready to pivot. Based on what we're seeing, there are three trends that are really worth watching. First, we're seeing the emergence of phygital retail spaces. These are environments where the physical and digital worlds collide, and they're designed specifically to fuel content creation and social sharing. Second, gaming and virtual reality are stepping into the spotlight. Retailers are making shopping feel more like an adventure with interactive, game inspired elements and immersive VR experiences. And finally, there's a real shift in the luxury space. The focus is moving from simply owning high end products to enjoying exclusive, memorable experiences that you can't get anywhere else.
This has been such a great conversation. Any last comments or advice before we sign off, Anshita?
There are a few important points I'd like to make. Don't overlook how Gen Z impacts other generations. You also really need to invest in staff training and development to keep up with their expectations. And this is super important. Just be genuine. Gen Z can spot when brands are being fake in their attempts to connect with them. I believe that the future of retail belongs to those who understand that Gen Z isn't just a target market, they're actively reshaping how retail operates. Success will come to those who embrace this change rather than resist it.
That's a great end to this episode. Thanks for giving us the scoop on Cheetah. It's always great to have you on the show.
Of course, Maya, thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us on this Gen Z journey. If you found today's conversation valuable, please subscribe, rate us on your favorite platform, and share this episode with your team. Catch our exclusive industry updates and more deep dives on LinkedIn and Substack. See you next time on the IADS Retail Park.